Hello everyone. So it's Friday, so I am here again with a Friday reads. I didn't read so much this week because there was a couple of Zoom birthdays and some other things. My book club also met, so a bunch of social things that I normally don't have. But still, I managed to read several books, so let me talk about them now. The first one that I finished was The Tenth Muse by Catherine Chung. I read this with Doris from All the Books, and this is about a woman that is a mathematician, and it begins with her as an old woman, going back to her childhood and her 20s, 30s, and so on. It talks about how she became a mathematician and her struggles to be recognized as a woman mathematician. I believe it's in the 50s and 60s, and also at the same time we follow her trying to figure out her past and her relationship with her family. I really like this book. There was some very nice writing in there, very interesting moments, very interesting discussions about race, about sexism, about mathematics. She related every chapter and every topic to a mathematical principle, so that was really nice to see. However, I have to say the ending was a bit disappointing. It didn't wrap up all the things that it started. Like, there were other characters in the story that I would have wanted to know more of and how they developed into what eventually we know happened, but that the book didn't explore those things, so the ending was not completely satisfying, but overall it was a nice book, and it was a good read, a good fun read. The second book I finished is The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu, and this one is the second in the Three Body Problem trilogy, so I would not talk too much about it, so I don't spoil too many things, but I have to say, basically the idea of the trilogy is that humans make contact with aliens. And in the first book we look at how it comes out that these aliens have contacted and the different reactions of aliens contacting humans, and they say they are coming to Earth, but it takes a while because of the distances in the universe. So the second book follows the people in the Earth preparing for the aliens to come and the different approaches of how to prepare for an alien landing, let's say. I liked the second book a lot less than the first one. I had some troubles concentrating on it and getting into the story. This was a bit meh. I've heard that the third one is it's better again, so I will continue with the trilogy, but this one was a bit meh. It took me a while to get through, just because I was not willing to pick it up once I put it down, so that's a pity. The third book I finished this week was for my book club, and the one I have, well, now it's not in real life, but we normally meet in real life, and that was Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and this is I believe a middle grade, and if you have seen the Ghibli movie Howl's Moving Castle, the book is completely different. It has the same character, but that's about it. The story is completely different. I like this, that the book explored different fairy tale tropes in gave them a different twist of them. A simple example, it's, for example, there is this evil witch, and in most fairy tales and so on. It's like the Witch of the North or the Witch of the West, and this one was called the Witch of the Waste instead of the West. So it gives little twists like that to well-known fairy tales, and gives a lot of nods to fairy tales. So if you like fairy tales, this is probably going to be appealing because of all the little eggs that are planted around. And I liked this book. I mean, it's a middle grade, so it's not as deep. The characters were a bit shallow and the relationships were a bit shallow, in my opinion, but there were very nice things to the story as well, like especially if you know the context of fairy tales. So yeah, I overall enjoyed, and we had some really good discussions in the book club, so that's always nice to see. And the last book that I finished, it's Middle England by Jonathan Coe, and this one is it follows a family that lives in Birmingham, so in like the Midlands of England, and it mostly follows Benjamin and Sophie. So Benjamin is the uncle of Sophie, and he's a writer, and Sophie she's a professor in a university, and I think art or like art history, something like that. So this is a very political novel, and it explores the Brexit vote, so the before, the during, and the after, more or less. And it's written from the stay perspective, so the main characters in this book vote to stay and think that staying is the best thing for the UK, but it explores also the people around them, and why would anyone vote to leave the EU, and what would be the rationale behind. So it tries to explain people that would not understand why anyone would want to leave the EU, why someone would have voted that side. And there are many characters in this book that would consider themselves Labour voters or things like that, and they still had doubts about what to vote because of the political situation. And then it also explores once the referendum happens and once the UK decides to leave the EU, how that affects personal relationships within this group of people. So how the political differences between people can separate them that much that they don't understand each other anymore, and how that creates an even bigger gap and separates these people even more so that they understand each other less. So it creates this polarization of the society, and then at the end of it, it tries to make the argument that it doesn't need to be that way, and we could possibly try to get together despite our political differences. So yeah, it was a very interesting book. I think the ending was a bit rosy for my liking, a bit too much, but overall I think it was a very, very interesting exploration of why someone would have those kind of opinions. And again, it's based on assuming that, in my opinion, it's assuming that the reader would want to stay in the EU. So yeah, if you read it from that perspective, it explains you the other side quite well, actually. So yeah, I really like that. And that was the last thing I finished. I'm reading currently two things. Les Miserables, as always. And the other thing I'm reading is Flights by Olga Tokarczuk. I'm reading this really, really slowly because I'm reading this out loud to my partner. So we have read just few pages, but I'm really liking this. So yeah, sometime in a month or two, you probably will get my full thoughts on this. So yeah, since I finished Middle England, my main book, I have finished my main book, so I need to pick up something else to be my main book again. And I think what I'm going to pick up next is Love Girl by Hope Jahren. I have been saying for the last couple of weeks I need to read this, and I need to read this, so I think this is going to be my next book. And then some other things that I'm planning to read this week are My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. I'm buddy reading this with Emma from A Cup of Books, and we are starting on Monday, so that is going to happen for sure. And the other thing I'm thinking I want to read is A Horse Walks into a Bar by David Grossman, and this one is about a comedy club or a comedy bar. So it's supposed to be really funny, and I'm up for something fun. So I think I'm going to pick up this next. So it's also very short, so that would be nice as well. So yeah, those are the main books I'm planning to read next week. I hope you also had a good week of reading. Let me know if you have read any of the books I have mentioned, especially Middle England. I would love to discuss that with anyone that has read that. And also tell me what you're reading. I hope you're all safe and well, and talk to you soon.